My hope for high school and middle school students in particular is that they will have a true encounter with Christ, that they will come to know and love the Lord first and foremost. I started the year off, and I think the students can probably tell you this. I tell them two things: I will love you and I will respect you. The things that I find most unique about TAA are a genuine faith, a genuine desire to loving and serving the Lord, very focused on not just making the Bible this add-on, this bonus that they get from their education, but making it central to the educational model. The Augustine Academy is a community of believers who are seeking to raise their children and to, as families, love and fear the Lord. It's a hybrid school that also works to integrate the family into the educational model. We're here to focus on how can we help you mature, how can we help you get to the point where you are more capable than you once were. This is a place of growth and not of performance. Many schools are about getting an A and not actually about learning. And so the measure of success has actually changed with that framework. And it's not about how am I going to perform in my life. It's about who am I in my life? Who am I pursuing? Who am I going to be? And when I say who am I pursuing, we're trying to become like Christ.